Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani and today I'm going to do the Bookish Scenarios tag. This tag was created by Lindsay Kramer. I'm going to leave all that information down in the description. And I was looking for cool tags to do, like the other one that I did that you already seen. And I found this one and it's just so much fun and I was really excited to film it. So this one has 7 questions and it's all scenarios that I have to pick something in that situation, in that context. So we'll see how this goes. I didn't prepare any answers. The questions are somewhat long, so I can't memorize them to say it. So I'm looking down because I'm reading them from my computer. Question number 1 is, you have to get rid of all your books and you can only keep one from each of these genres: contemporary, fantasy, nonfiction, and one other genre of your choosing. What books do you keep? Okay, contemporary, fantasy, nonfiction, and let's say sci-fi. So for contemporary, I don't have many books to choose from. I'm tempted to say Beartown, but I don't. Let me look at my contemporary books. Okay, so I have a few options. Beartown would definitely be a good option. I really enjoyed that book. But there is one that I would probably want to keep more, and that is Challenger Deep by Neil Shusterman. This is, I don't know, I consider it a contemporary. It's what it's written in my spreadsheet, but it's a very unique contemporary because it's kind of 2 separate stories that are being told from what you know in the beginning of the book. If you don't read the synopsis, which I'm not going to tell you because you shouldn't know anything about it before going into this book, but you get the story of Caden, who is a high school student, and you get the story of Caden, who is a crew member on a pirate ship. And you get those 2 stories and you go until you figure out what's happening. But I did categorize it as contemporary on my spreadsheet, and I think I would keep it. This is one of my favorite books. It's by one of my favorite authors. And this specific copy, I didn't even read it. I read it in Portuguese and I listened to the audiobook in English. But I just needed to have the physical book because it's so amazing and I love this so much. And I do want to reread it at some point. But yeah, so I think I would definitely keep it because it's a special one that I bought, even though I was not going to read this specific copy. So it is special, definitely, for me. And that was contemporary. What's the next one? Next is fantasy, and now it starts getting more complicated. This is hard. This is mean. I'm trying to decide just based on the story and not necessarily the edition that I own, because I say like I want to keep that story even if it was in another edition, although I just said something different for Challenger Deep, but it's fine. Okay, if I can only keep one, I would definitely prefer to select one that I want to reread and that makes me happy. So I was thinking about The Princess Bride, but maybe that's what I'm in the mood right now. So maybe the correct question here would be Nevermore, because this is one of my favorite books recently, and I'm just now reading Hollowpox, the third one in the series, and I just love the series so much. So I think if I had to pick right now, I'd pick Hollowpox because that's the one that I'm reading, but I think I would pick Nevermore. But The Princess Bride is also one that I love so much and I would love to reread it multiple times. So there are 2 options there. For nonfiction, I don't own a lot of nonfiction. Can I take these 2? They're so tiny. Okay, if I had to pick just one nonfiction, I would probably pick We Should All Be Feminists by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, because I think it's good to reread it, but also I would love to lend it to so many people so they could read it. So I would definitely keep this one. And if I have guests over and they want to pick a book to read, they won't only have these 4 options, and they would probably pick this one because it's the shortest one. So it's a win-win. And then for sci-fi, again, very hard to pick, but I am of course between the Themis Files and the Arc of a Scythe series. So considering that I don't even own the first one in the Themis Files, I still need to buy it because I listened to it in audiobook. So I would probably keep Scythe, and the copy that I own is up here. I'm not going to pick it up, but it's a Brazilian paperback. So not ideal, but I'm going by the story because I would prefer to keep an English copy of the book, not a Portuguese copy, not a Brazilian copy, but definitely by the story, that's the one that I would pick. This was already a hard question. Okay, second scenario. You're at the bookstore and you hear a teenager telling their mom they don't like to read, but their mom insists that they pick something. You walk over and recommend a book you think is great for people who aren't big on reading. What book is it? Scythe. I think Scythe. The same one that I just said that I would keep. It's one of my favorites, but also I think it's so accessible for teenagers or for adults. It's a great sci-fi. It's a dystopian novel, which is easy to read, and everyone is a little bit used to it, even if in movies, even they just watched Hunger Games. So dystopia is definitely something that's intriguing to read. And it's just his writing style, like I said, so accessible. Just when you finish the story, you need to pick the next one, and the next one is even better. So I think if she read Scythe, she would definitely become a reader. Scenario number 3 is, you're not feeling yourself and you need a pick-me-up. Which book do you read to put yourself in a great mood? I'm going to keep saying the same things in this tag, because I would definitely pick Nevermore, for sure, because that's a book that makes me happy and a book that's fun. But I have another answer, so this is not going to be too repetitive, but it has to be a series. It can't be just one book, because it's a manga, and that's Fullmetal Alchemist. This is a series that just made me laugh, made me cry, made me feel so many emotions, and just happy in the end. And I want to keep reading, because I'm reading these editions and they're not all out yet, but I want to keep reading the series so much, and it's just so much fun. So definitely I would pick this series as a pick-me-up. Scenario number 4. You go back in time for a day to your teenage years. What book would you most likely have caught yourself reading? Probably Harry Potter, but let's be more original here. Meg Cabot. Any book by Meg Cabot, I would read everything when I was younger. The Princess Diaries series, I loved it so much. Every time she would come out with a new book, I would immediately ask my mom to buy it, because I just loved them. That was my time, of my years of reading YA contemporary without even knowing that's what it was called. It's just so good. Also her fantasy books, but I just loved Meg Cabot. It was definitely my favorite author when I was younger. Scenario number 5. Your friend surprises you with a 4-day trip and you have 1 hour to pack. Which book do you bring to read on the way? 1 hour is a lot. If I can pick books, like I can pack really fast and just pick books to take on the trip. But if it was right now, definitely I would pick Hollowpox, because that's what I'm reading right now. But considering that, well, other than that, I would pick whatever is on my m&ms TBR. So I would always have something on my list to read right now. Like, I would definitely pick one of the books on my m&ms TBR. Also my Kindle, because all the books that are in there. Scenario number 6. Your house has been robbed. Don't worry, everyone is safe, but your bookcase has been raided. What's the book you really hope is safe? I guess the ones that I mentioned in the beginning, the ones that I would want to keep, those would be the ones that I hope are safe. But I guess my unread shelf, because otherwise I would have to buy them all again. The red shelf, it's like, it would be very, very sad, but I would probably not rebuy them right now. I would read the ones that I already own and then start to rebuild my library. So definitely my unread shelf, which is a whole shelf and not a book, but that's the answer. And the last question is, your friend borrows a book and returns it in an awful condition. Do you A, just pretend you haven't noticed, B, ask them to repurchase it, or C, secretly do the same to something of theirs? I would not do letter C, I'm too nice for that, but from between A and B, I would just pretend I didn't notice and not trust them again with anything that I own. But if they are really good friends, they would probably suggest and they would probably repurchase it themselves. So hopefully it's a good friend that would repurchase it. That's what I would be hoping for. But if that didn't happen, I would just ignore it and not trust them again. And those are all the scenarios. I had so much fun with this tag. It's so cool. I'm not gonna tag anyone, but if you're interested in doing, or if you have done this before, please tell me in the comments because I'd love to watch it. And I hope you enjoyed it as well because it was so cool. And remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for joining me. Bye!